Some messages are crafted to be understood, to convey information across time and space. Others are constructed as cages, designed to trap the reader in a loop of obsession and failure. Throughout history, individuals have locked their darkest truths behind walls of unintelligible symbols, leaving behind riddles that outlast their bones. These aren't merely puzzles. They are vaults concealing lost identities, buried fortunes, or dangerous knowledge. When we stare at these ciphers, we are staring into the void of an unanswered question, wondering if the silence is a form of protection or a final act of cruelty. No enigma exemplifies this torment quite like the shadow that fell over California decades ago. In the late 1960s, the San Francisco Bay Area was gripped by a terror that stemmed not just from brutality, but from the perpetrator's desperate theatrical need for attention. The Zodiac Killer demanded the spotlight. His weapon of choice wasn't always a gun. Frequently, it was a pen. His letters to local newspapers shifted the dynamic of American crime forever, featuring heavy handwriting with a disturbing mix of childish slant and manic precision. The signature was a crosshair, turning the population into potential targets. But the true instrument of his psychological warfare was the grid. He sent ciphers, blocks of symbols promising revelations. The most infamous became known as the 340 cipher. For 51 years, this grid of 63 unique symbols sat unsolved, becoming the holy grail of cryptography. It taunted the FBI and thousands of amateur sleuths, sitting in the public consciousness as a silent monolith. It wasn't just a locked door. It was a mirror reflecting the failure of those trying to catch him. The psychological impact of these codes cannot be overstated. Among the communications was the "My name is" cipher, a short string of 13 symbols following the phrase, "My name is." This specific code is the ultimate bait. It offers the one thing the world wants, an identity, a name to attach to the monster. However, the brevity of the code makes it mathematically impossible to solve with certainty without a key. Any name of the right length could theoretically fit. It is a void that swallows effort, a trap designed to keep people guessing long after the killer is gone. It suggests that the answer is right there, staring back at us, yet remains eternally out of reach. When the 340 cipher was finally cracked by a team of private citizens using modern computing power, the result was a chilling reminder of the killer's nature. The message didn't contain coordinates to a body or a name. It didn't offer a motive. It simply read, "I hope you are having lots of fun in trying to catch me." It went on to mock the police and claim he wasn't afraid of the gas chamber because it would send him to paradise where he had slaves to serve him. The solution didn't resolve the mystery. It deepened the myth. The code wasn't a confession. It was a sneer from the grave. It proved that the killer was lucid, calculating, and fully aware of the havoc he was wreaking. This revelation leads to a disturbing speculation regarding the remaining uncracked codes. It is entirely possible that the errors found in his clear text, words like paradise, are mirrored in his ciphers. If the remaining codes contain intentional mistakes or are simply gibberish designed to look like language, then they are not puzzles at all. They are time sinks. They are traps set to waste the lives of those who try to solve them. The Zodiac didn't just want to kill individuals. He wanted to kill the concept of safety and the satisfaction of closure. He understood that a mystery is more powerful than a solution. By withholding his name in a code that cannot be cracked, he ensured his own immortality. The killer transformed himself into a ghost story that never ends. He achieved a twisted form of eternal life through the ink of his letters. But while the Zodiac desperately wanted the world to know he existed, history also holds the stories of those who went to great lengths to ensure they remained unknown. The narrative shifts now from a killer who screamed for attention to a dead man on a beach who tried to erase his entire existence. On the morning of December 1st, 1948, the sun rose over Somerton Beach in Adelaide, Australia, illuminating a mystery that remains as cold today as the body found resting against the seawall. Passers-by assumed he was sleeping off a drunk, but morning light revealed a corpse dressed with impeccable, confusing care. He wore a suit and tie, far too formal for the beach, and his clothes had been stripped of all identification labels. No laundry marks, no wallet, no cards. His physique was notable. His developed calf muscles and wedged toes suggested a dancer or someone who spent their life in boots. He was a man who had seemingly dropped out of the sky, fully formed but entirely anonymous. The police were baffled, but months later, a re-examination of the man's clothing revealed a tiny, hidden fob pocket sewn into the waistband of his trousers, a pocket the coroner had missed. Inside was a tightly rolled scrap of paper bearing 2 words printed in an elaborate font, Tamam Shud. It is a Persian phrase found at the conclusion of the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam, meaning "it is finished" or "the end." This wasn't just a label, it was a punctuation mark on a life voluntarily closed. The investigation turned into a hunt for the book from which the scrap had been torn. Miraculously, a man came forward with a copy of the Rubaiyat he had found tossed into the back of his unlocked car near the beach around the time the body was discovered. The final page was torn. The paper matched. But the book held a secret far more perplexing than the scrap. Under ultraviolet light, the back cover revealed faint pencil impressions, traces of writing that had been pressed onto the paper from a sheet that was no longer there. 5 lines of capital letters emerged from the white space. The second line was crossed out, suggesting a mistake in the encoding process. The letters, starting with MRGOABABD, meant nothing in English, nor in any known cipher. They sat there as a ghost of a communication, unintelligible to the world. The code is a chaotic string of characters that has resisted the efforts of military intelligence and modern cryptographers alike. Theories abound that the Somerton Man was a spy, a casualty of the burgeoning Cold War, and that these letters constitute a one-time pad message, unbreakable without the corresponding key. The proximity to the Woomera test range and the man's unidentifiable nature support the espionage angle. Yet, the book contained another clue, a phone number. This number led police to a nurse living nearby, known pseudonymously as Jestin. When shown a plaster bust of the dead man, she did not speak. Instead, she appeared visibly terrified, looking down to avoid eye contact with the cast, her reaction suggesting a recognition too dangerous, or perhaps too painful to voice. Jestin claimed she had given a copy of the Rubaiyat to a man named Alf Boxall during the war, but Boxall was found alive and well, still in possession of his copy. The Somerton Man was someone else. The code on the back of the book likely wasn't a message for a government or a military agency. It has the distinct texture of a private language, a cipher shared between 2 people harboring a dark, intimate secret. It is possible that the letters are mnemonics, the first letters of words in a poem or a message known only to the writer and the intended recipient. Because the key to this cipher was likely stored in the memory of the man who died on the sand, the message died with him. It is a locked box with no keyhole. While the Somerton Man took his secrets to a pauper's grave, leaving us with a code that protects his silence, another mystery from the previous century offers a very different incentive. This next puzzle doesn't hide a name or a tragic romance. It promises unimaginable wealth to anyone who can survive the hunt. From the silent coast of Australia, we shift to the rugged frontier of 1820s Virginia, where a mystery was born from the heavy promise of gold. The story of the Beale Ciphers combines the romance of the Wild West with the cold logic of cryptography. It begins with Thomas J. Beale, a mysterious figure who rode into Lynchburg in January 1820. Described as a model gentleman adventurer, handsome and well-educated, he was a man burdened by a secret of immense weight. Beale spent the winter in Lynchburg before vanishing, only to return 2 years later. This time, he left a locked iron box with a trusted innkeeper named Robert Morris. His instructions were specific and ominous. Morris was to keep the box safe and unopened. If Beale did not return within 10 years, Morris was to break the lock. Inside, he would find the explanation for Beale's journey and instructions on how to access a fortune. Beale rode out of Lynchburg and was never seen again. The 10 years passed. Morris, a man of honor, waited 23 years before finally prying the box open. Inside, he found a letter and 3 sheets of paper covered in a dense, chaotic array of numbers. The letter detailed an incredible journey. Beale claimed he and 29 men were hunting buffalo north of Santa Fe when they stumbled upon a cleft in the rocks revealing a massive vein of gold and silver. For 18 months, They toiled, extracting thousands of pounds of precious metal before moving the hoard to a secure location in Virginia. The 3 cipher sheets in the box were the keys to this fortune. Paper number 1 described the exact location of the vault. Paper number 2 described the contents. Paper number 3 listed the names of the men and their next of kin. For decades, the numbers remained silent. Morris spent his dying years trying to find the pattern, eventually passing the box and its burden to an unnamed friend. It was this anonymous figure who, working with obsessive determination, stumbled upon the key to the second paper. By numbering the words in the Declaration of Independence, he found that the cipher was a book code. The number 115 corresponded to the 115th word of the Declaration. Slowly, a message emerged from the chaos. It confirmed the existence of the vault in Bedford County, detailing a deposit of 2,921 pounds of gold, 5,100 pounds of silver, and jewels obtained in St. Louis to save on transportation weight. In modern terms, the hoard is worth over $60 million. The cracking of the second cipher seemed to guarantee that the others would fall. It proved the code was valid, not just random scribbles. Yet, the remaining 2 papers have withstood every assault for nearly 2 centuries. The Declaration of Independence does not unlock the location or the names. Cryptographers have applied the Constitution, the Bible, Shakespeare, and thousands of other texts from the era, all to no avail. Even the brute force of modern supercomputers, capable of checking millions of potential keys per second, has failed to find the sequence that turns the numbers into coordinates. The silence of the remaining papers has birthed a curse of its own. The Beale Ciphers have ruined lives. Farmers in Bedford County have watched as trespassers dig massive craters in their fields under the cover of night. Fortunes have been squandered on psychics, dowsing rods, and ground-penetrating radar. The obsession is fueled by the tantalizing reality of the solved second page. We know the what, but the where is locked behind a wall of arithmetic. Skeptics argue that the entire story is a sophisticated hoax, perhaps penned by Edgar Allan Poe, who lived in the area, designed to sell pamphlets and newspapers. They suggest the second code was created to be solved, a hook to draw people into a mystery with no end. However, a more frustrating possibility exists. The code might rely on a specific, ephemeral text, a pamphlet or a revised edition of a law book that Thomas Beale had in his saddlebag, a book that has since turned to dust. If the key is a document that no longer exists, the treasure is not lost. It is permanently inaccessible, erased by the simple passage of time. The Beale papers serve as a reminder that information is fragile. Without the context of the creator, a fortune becomes nothing more than a list of numbers. We leave the dusty hills of Virginia and the promise of gold for a mystery that is far more alien. We turn our attention from a treasure map of the American West to a book that looks like it came from another planet. Deep within the archives of Yale University's Voynich Rare Book and Manuscript Library sits an object that defies the fundamental logic of history. It is a small, unassuming volume, measuring just 6 by 9 inches, bound in modest vellum that has yellowed with the passage of 6 centuries. To the casual observer, it appears to be a standard medieval pharmacopoeia, but opening the cover reveals a descent into madness. 240 pages of text are written in an elegant, looping script belonging to no known human language. It flows with a confident rhythm, devoid of corrections, suggesting the scribe was fluent in this alien tongue. But the words are not the most disturbing element. The illustrations depict a world that does not exist. The book is filled with vibrant, hand-colored drawings of plants that botanists cannot identify. They are biological chimeras, possessing the root systems of one species, the leaves of another, and flowers that mimic nothing found in nature. They look less like scientific documentation and more like the flora of a fever dream, or perhaps a field guide to a parallel dimension where evolution took a different path. Beyond the botany, the manuscript descends into even stranger territory. There are elaborate astronomical charts that do not match the sky as seen from Earth, featuring constellations that have never been mapped. Most unsettling are the balneological sections, where naked women with swollen abdomens bathe in green fluid within complex organic plumbing systems. They are connected by translucent tubes and capsules that resemble internal organs, creating an image of biological engineering that predates modern science by 500 years. The provenance of the manuscript is as murky as its content. Carbon dating places the vellum between 1404 and 1438, but the book's recorded history begins in the court of Holy Roman Emperor Rudolph II. The emperor, a man obsessed with the occult and the accumulation of rare oddities, purchased the book for a staggering sum of 600 gold ducats, believing it to be the work of the 13th century philosopher Roger Bacon. From Rudolph, the book passed through the hands of court alchemists and eventually vanished into the dusty libraries of the Jesuit order. It remained hidden in the dark for centuries until 1912, when a Polish book dealer named Wilfrid Voynich discovered it in a chest at the Villa Mondragone in Italy. He brought the book back into the light of the modern world, but in doing so, he unleashed a riddle that has humiliated the greatest minds of the 20th and 21st centuries. The text itself, dubbed Voynichese, is the primary source of frustration. If the manuscript were a hoax, a random collection of scribbles designed to fool a gullible emperor, it should lack structure. But the text follows a strict internal logic. It adheres to Zipf's law, a statistical rule that governs all natural human languages. Zipf's law dictates that the most frequent word in a language will occur approximately twice as often as the second most frequent word, 3 times as often as the third, and so on. Random gibberish does not follow this pattern. The Voynich Manuscript does. This mathematical consistency implies that the text carries genuine meaning, that it is a complex, functioning language with syntax and grammar. The author wasn't just making marks on a page, they were writing down thoughts. The theories attempting to explain this anomaly range from the plausible to the paranormal. Some linguists argue that it is a lost Proto-Romance language, the dialect of a culture that was geographically isolated and subsequently wiped from history, leaving this book as its only tombstone. Others suggest it is a constructed language, a sophisticated code created by a genius polymath to hide heretical knowledge from the Inquisition. However, the sheer strangeness of the illustrations fuels a darker speculation, that the book is not of this world. The impossible plants and the unrecognized stars suggest to some that the author was documenting a location that is not Earth, recording the biology of a place we cannot visit. Modern technology has only amplified the mystery. We have thrown our most advanced artificial intelligence at the pages, algorithms designed to translate ancient tongues and crack military codes. The AI finds patterns, clusters of data, and repetitive structures, but it finds no meaning. The book remains a mirror, reflecting our own desperate need to find order in chaos. It sits in its climate-controlled vault, a silent testament to the limits of human knowledge. The Voynich Manuscript is a relic of the past that defeats the future. But while this ancient book rests in academic silence, modern intelligence agencies have created their own monsters. Puzzles built not with quill and ink, but with copper and stone, designed to stand in the center of the surveillance state and mock the spies who walk past it every day. In the courtyard of the Central Intelligence Agency headquarters in Langley, Virginia, stands a monument to the secret keeper's trade. Dedicated in 1990, Kryptos is a massive S-shaped screen of copper, standing 12 feet high, perforated with thousands of letters. It looks like a ribbon of data frozen in time, a physical manifestation of the signal's intelligence that flows through the building's walls. But this sculpture is not merely decorative, it is a challenge. Artist Jim Sanborn encoded 4 distinct messages into the copper face. The irony is deliberate. The world's premier intelligence gathering organization, an agency that cracks the codes of nuclear powers, has spent 3 decades walking past a puzzle they cannot solve. The sculpture contains approximately 1,800 characters. For the first few years, the copper remained silent. Then, in 1999, a computer scientist announced he had cracked the first 3 sections, known as K1, K2, and K3. The CIA famously responded that their own analysts had actually solved them years prior but had kept the solution quiet, a fitting response for the agency. The solved sections revealed poetic, somewhat ominous phrases. K1 speaks of a subtle nuance and the illusion of reality. K2 mentions coordinates that point to the sculpture itself and discusses something buried, asking, "Who knows the exact location? Only WW." This refers to William Webster, the CIA director at the time. K3 paraphrases the diary of archaeologist Howard Carter opening King Tut's tomb, describing wonderful things. These solutions were achieved using standard cryptographic techniques, visionaire tables, and transposition ciphers. They were difficult, but logical. However, the fourth section, K4, remains a jagged cliff that no climber has been able to scale. It consists of just 97 characters at the very bottom of the sculpture. For over 30 years, the most brilliant mathematical minds in the world, along with thousands of obsessive hobbyists, have thrown everything they have at this short string of text. They have used frequency analysis, polyalphabetic substitution, and brute force attacks. They have analyzed the typo in K2, an intentional misspelling meant to throw off codebreakers, hoping it was a key. But K4 refuses to yield. It sits there, mocking the agency that prides itself on knowing everything. As the decades passed and Sanborn aged, the pressure to solve the riddle before the creator died intensified. In a rare act of mercy, or perhaps to stir the pot, Sanborn released 2 clues. He revealed that the 64th through 69th letters of the cipher, NYPVTT, decode to the word Berlin. Later, he revealed that the 70th through 74th letters, MZFPK, decode to clock. So we have Berlin clock. This reference points to a specific public timepiece in Germany, the Mengenlehruhr, that tells time through illuminated colored fields. Yet, even with these verified plaintext words, the rest of the 97 characters remain gibberish. The clues did not unravel the knot. They merely tightened it by introducing a new layer of obscure cultural references. The resilience of K4 suggests that the answer might not be found in the math alone. Sanborn is a sculptor, not a mathematician. The solution likely requires a synthesis of the code and the physical environment. It may depend on where the shadow of the copper screen falls on the petrified wood and granite base at a specific time of year. It might require the viewer to stand at the coordinates mentioned in K2 and look through the screen at the CIA cafeteria. The answer is likely not in the encryption, but in the Kryptos, the hidden nature of the object itself. The CIA's puzzle is tangible, rooted in stone and copper, but the next mystery lives entirely in the digital shadows, where the walls are made of firewalls and the territory is infinite. On January 4th, 2012, the chaotic message boards of 4chan played host to a transmission that felt distinctly different. A user posted a simple image, white text on a stark black background stating, "We are looking for highly intelligent individuals." It promised a hidden message within the image that would lead to the creators. Those who opened the file in a text editor found the first breadcrumb, a Caesar cipher leading to a URL. This was the opening move of Cicada 3301, a mystery that evolved from a digital curiosity into the most elaborate recruitment drive in internet history. The puzzle quickly spiraled out of the digital realm. Complex riddles produced GPS coordinates, suddenly requiring boots on the ground. Participants found physical posters attached to telephone poles in 14 cities across the globe, including Warsaw, Paris, Seattle, and Seoul. Each poster bore the ghostly image of a cicada and a QR code. This demonstrated a terrifying level of organization. Whoever was behind this wasn't just online. They were everywhere. They had a global reach that rivaled intelligence agencies, capable of coordinating physical assets across multiple continents simultaneously. The internet had suddenly become a map for a worldwide scavenger hunt. The puzzles themselves were a gauntlet designed to filter out anyone lacking a polymath's breadth of knowledge. It wasn't enough to be a master coder. The clues required a deep understanding of Mayan numerology, the cyberpunk poetry of William Gibson, and the intricacies of classical music. The complexity forced the internet to work together, but Cicada explicitly condemned this collaboration. They wanted the individual, not the group. In one message, they scolded the collective effort, stating, "We want the best, not the followers." The test was designed to find the singular genius capable of navigating the labyrinth alone. But what happens when you win? A select few reportedly reached the end of the path and received an email inviting them to a private server. Then, the trail goes cold. The silence that falls upon those who solve the puzzle is absolute. Leaked accounts suggest the winners were recruited for a project focused on digital privacy and anonymity. But without official confirmation, these claims remain whispers. The lack of a visible prize suggests that the reward is the work itself, or perhaps membership in an organization that prefers to remain a complete myth. The identity of the architects remains the central question. Theories range from the plausible to the paranoid. Some believe it is a recruitment tool for the NSA or a private military contractor. Others argue it is a rogue faction of cypherpunks or a global hacker collective. The most disturbing theory is that Cicada is a cult, a modern secret society using the addiction of mystery to indoctrinate the brightest minds. The scale of the operation implies vast resources, yet the ideology suggests anarchy. The release of the Liber Primus, a book of runes that remains largely untranslated, supports the idea that this is a belief system. The group has effectively paused the game, stating that no further puzzles will be released until the book is finished. Cicada 3301 isn't just a puzzle, it is a filtration system. It is a machine built to sift through the noise of humanity and extract the signal. These puzzles, from the stone at Langley to the ghosts in the machine, span centuries and mediums. They use different tools, but they share a common psychological root. They are not defined by the information they conceal, but by the behavior they provoke in us. The transition from the cold digital void back to the human mind reveals that the true power of these codes lies not in their complexity, but in our inability to walk away from them. These disparate mysteries share a singular architecture. Whether carved in stone, written on vellum, or mailed to a newspaper, their power relies on the mechanics of myth building. The creator understands a fundamental truth. We are far more captivated by the question than the answer. When a code is broken, the magic evaporates. The solution becomes mundane data filed in a drawer. But an uncracked code possesses infinite potential. It is a blank screen onto which we project our deepest fears and wildest hopes. This projection is fueled by a cognitive glitch known as apophenia, the human tendency to perceive meaningful connections between unrelated things. Our brains are pattern-matching engines, evolved to spot predators in the grass or recognize faces in the dark. When faced with the chaotic noise of the Zodiac's remaining ciphers, or the alien script of the Voynich Manuscript, our minds refuse to accept that there might be no pattern at all. We force order onto the chaos. We see constellations where there are only random stars. This is why the internet is flooded with solutions to these puzzles that rely on convoluted logic and arbitrary rules. The solver finds the pattern because they are desperate for the pattern to exist, not because the creator put it there. The code becomes a mirror, reflecting the intelligence and the madness of the person trying to break it. There is, of course, the most frustrating possibility of all, that some of these codes are simply gibberish. It is entirely possible that the Zodiac Killer, in a moment of sadistic humor, filled the page with random symbols just to watch the police chase their tails. It is possible that the Voynich Manuscript was a meaningless prop created to swindle an emperor out of his gold. But even if the content is nonsense, the effect is real. If the purpose of a message is to convey information, these codes have failed. But if the purpose was to create a legacy, they are resounding successes. The solution to these puzzles isn't the plain text hidden beneath the cipher. The solution is the behavior the code forces us to adopt. The true result of these mysteries is the obsession they generate. They force us to collaborate, to build supercomputers, to learn dead languages, and to study the stars. They create communities of paranoid geniuses who spend their lives looking for a key that might not exist. The creators of these codes achieved a form of immortality not by what they wrote, but by what they withheld. By locking the door and throwing away the key, they ensured that we would spend eternity standing on the porch, knocking. Thomas Beale, the Somerton Man, and the Zodiac Killer are long dead, but they are still controlling the actions of the living. They have colonized our minds with their silence. We continue to chip away at the stone, convinced that the next attempt will be the one to break through. We tell ourselves that we want the truth, that we want to know the location of the gold or the name of the killer. But perhaps there is a part of us that hopes the code never breaks. We need the mystery. We need to believe that there are still secrets in the world that reject our surveillance and our algorithms. We are drawn to the void because it is the only place left where the impossible can still exist. These codes stand as monuments to the limits of human understanding, taunting us with the promise of a secret just out of reach. We will keep looking, keep calculating, and keep guessing, forever caught in the gravity of the unsolved. In the end, the silence of these codes speaks louder than any solution ever could. This has been Midnight Signals. I'm Russ Chamberlain, guiding you through the shadows where history meets mystery. Until next time, stay vigilant, seek the hidden, and remember, in every silence there is a signal, and in every signal, a story waiting to be told.